Hello everyone, I am Nishchay Gupta, a BTech student from the Data Science and Artificial Intelligence branch at IIT Roorkee. Welcome to my CWS project presentation. In this project, I have developed a patient data management system for hospitals designed to make storing, accessing, and managing patient data records more efficient and organized. The system allows hospitals to add, search, and list patient details easily, reducing paperwork and minimizing human error. In this video, I'll be walking you through the concept, features, implementation, and demonstration of the project, time to time explaining the C++ concepts used. So, let me introduce my system. This is a project, a console application. Console application we will know about afterwards. It allows hospital staff to store, view, and search patients' information efficiently. We have used a lot of functions and elements in this program. Most important ones include structures, vectors, strings, and IO streams. Our objectives are very simple. We need to create a simple database storing patient information. We need to have some basic functions like adding, searching, and listing patients to demonstrate, and we need to demonstrate a proper user interaction via this application. So, what is a console application? It is a text-based program. It is more of like a chatbot. There is only one line interface. It does not have a user interface graphical. It takes inputs and outputs using one line. Let's see how it looks. This is a console. There, where the cursor is present, we have to write our code or function or program. So let's get to pseudocode. This is our pseudocode. Here, first this program is started. It initializes empty vector patients. For now, vectors are empty. They do not have any value. We add the patients with this function, add patient. This is inside this loop. This loop basically is the menu and the main program. This is like database and this is the main program of it. So when this loop starts, it displays a menu, which we will see afterwards. Now there are multiple choices. One of it is add patient. This calls the function called add patient, which allows us to add more information about patients. Then there are both functions 2 and 3, search by ID and search by phone, allows us to search a patient information by knowing their ID or by phone. Then choice 4 we have is to list all the patients that are currently stored in these vectors. Then we can exit whenever we exit the program, the database is lost and the program shuts down. Now let's see the libraries we have used in this program. Libraries are a set of predefined functions in C++ which we can import in our program for better functionality. The first library we have used is IOStream. The name of the library is put inside these brackets, the greater than and less than sign, and the hashtag include tells the program to include this library. So IOStream, what it does, it provides us the functionality for giving input and showing the output in our program. Now, secondly, we have vector. So vector is like an array. It is a chain of database. So a vector, the what differentiates a vector from an array is like vector size can be increased or decreased during runtime, whereas array storage size is defined during compile time and is difficult to manage. So then third we have string. So as you know, string is a data type in C++. The library string allows us to manage it and manipulate it very efficiently and properly. Then you must be wondering about this line. Using namespace standard. This std stands for standard. Using namespace std. So this line tells the compiler that we want to use names like C and cout without using standard, and the dot dot you can see here is the scope resolution vector. This tells the compiler that the function which we are writing after it is part of the standard library. But in this library, we do not have a crashing function name, so we do not need to use standard. In bigger programs, it is good to use standards, but I have made a simpler program, so we will using namespace standard only. So now let's see the code structure. First of all, we have defined a structures for storing information of patients. Then we have defined some functions that are used to add, print, and search about patients. Then third, of course, is the int main, which is the main function. It is the main menu loop which will control all the functions and storage. So this is how the code of patient structure looks like. The struct here defines the whole thing as a structure. This is a short form for structure, and then patient is the name of the structure. And inside these curly brackets, we have defined all the storing needs we have. String ID. So ID will be a ID given to a patient, which will be given to him and him only, and which will help him to identify it afterwards. Then we have string name. It allows us to store name of the patient. Then age, phone, and address also allows us to store relevant age, phones, and address of the patient. Then we have the first function, print patient. This function is very simple. Now let's understand the syntax of a function. First, we have to define the function return data type. The data type of the output the function is giving us. Here, there is no return here. We are not taking any output from here directly inside the function, and we are just using this function to display text on the screen. So we do not have a return data type. So I have used void here. And then print patient is the name of the function, and inside the brackets we have patient p. So this is the input we have to give in this function. We will come afterwards how we are getting this patient p. But then line 15 to 20 shows us cout and relevant informations. So p.id is the id of the patient p, and name, age, phone, address are similar to that. Now we can see its output. The output will look like this. It does not have a fancy text or good UI because it is a console application. So let's get, yes. Let's see about the function add patient. This is one of the most crucial functions that we are using. It takes the user's input for all the patient details and it stores them inside the structure that we defined earlier. So let's get to it by line. So again, we do not need a return data type, so we have used void. And then the name of the function is add patient, and this time we are using a vector of patient. So I will tell you what is this afterwards. Now we have patient P. Okay, so cout, we have defined a patient with name P. So patient is the name of a structure and multiple structures can be named, and we have named this one P. So it will first show enter patient ID to the user. Then we are using cin getLine function. GetLine function is part of the string library. So here cin, we can see this line cin and greater than arrow to ws. So this what this does is it ignores the new line input which is left in the input tray by cin function. Then we are storing the input given by the user in p.id and cout enter name. Then we have to input the name. It according stores the name inside p.name. And similarly, this stores all the information that we need. Now we have patients.pushback p. Yani the vector we have created about patients, which has a data type of patient. It is a structure of, so basically it is a vector of structures. So one of the structures inside it is now P. Now this will show the patient has been added successfully. What is a vector? So vector is like a flexible array, but it can grow or shrink whenever we need it. And we can easily add or remove elements just like I told you in runtime. It manages our memory and is very memory efficient when compared with array. Arrays are fixed in size, but vectors can change anytime. Okay, so next, why we were using getLine function back there. So cin stops reading at space. So that my name is Nishchay Gupta, and when I am entering my name, I will use space between my first name and surname. But cin will stop only at my first name because I have added a space after my first name. So we use getLine. This reads the entire line until we press enter. So, and you see, when we use cin, it leaves an empty enter in the input tray, which when read by getLine ends the input time. So we use getLine scene greater than ws. This allows us to skip the leftover new lines. Okay. So this is what output of add patient looks like. You see the first 6 lines show how the menu gives us choices. We choose choice 1, that is an add patient. It asks us to enter patient ID. I am giving this ID 1. Then we write its name, age, and phone number, and email address. Then this shows the patient has been added successfully, and just like I told you, it is a loop. So the menu appears again, but this time I am not using any other choice. So let's get to our next function. It is search by ID. This is also a very important function because this allows us to search patient information using his ID. So this function goes through the vector to find the record which has the matching ID. So we can see here also we are giving input of the vector that we have made only. It first shows the output to asking user to enter his or her ID. The string ID is where it is stored. You can see this. We are also using getLine to store the input in the variable ID. Then we have a loop iterating through the whole vector. Patients.size is the size of inputs inside the vector currently. So we are using I should be less than patients.size because iterator starts from 0 and not from 1. So the maximum input iterator will be patients.size minus 1. So here we are making sure that I stops at less than patients.size. And then we have I plus plus. In this loop, first we define an iterating variable, that is I. It is first given 0, then condition that a loop should be working. I should be less than patients.size. If my vector patient is storing 3 values at the time, then patients.size will be 3, but the iterator of the last value will be 2. So whenever I is 2, it will work, and we need it to work until 2 only. And I plus plus, here we give the condition which is to be performed at the end of the loop. I plus plus means after every loop I is being incrementing, I is increasing by 1. Now we have used a conditional statement if here. So if patient's ID, any patient bracket ID means the ID of a patient which has iterated this will, and if it matches with the ID that the user has inputted here, then the patient will be printed and it will be returned. Okay. And when this loop ends and no ID is found, then we have to use cout, no patient found with this phone or phone with the ID. So this is how the output will look like from search by ID. We can see the menu again. This time we have taken the choice number 2, which is search by ID, and enter ID to search, which is 1. This is the same info that I have added in this slide. So this shows exactly all the information we have stored here in this. So now let's see our next function, which is search by phone. So if a patient does not remember his ID, he must remember his phone number, because of which we can use it to find his records. So again, this is the basic syntax for function defining. Then we have cout asking the user to input his phone number. We have used a string to take the input, and then getLine to store the input in the string phone. Now again we have a loop which works exactly as it was working in search by ID function. Whenever the phone number related to the patient with iterator I is equal to the phone number entered by the user, the print patient, we show the patient's information. And when the loop ends without matching to what we have stored in our database, the output is given as no patient found with phone number this. This phone shows the number that was entered. Okay, this is what the output looks like. We chose the third function this time, which is search by phone. And when we enter phone to search, this was the number that was entered. Then it was also the same input that I entered at the beginning of this program. Now let's get to the main part. This is the main menu and it controls the whole flow of the system or program. First, we have defined a vector. So to define a vector, we have to write vector first. Then in this brackets, we have to write the data type. This time we are storing the data type of a structure which is named patient. So we have kept here patient and then the name of the vector that we used. Then integer choice. This choice is the input that we take during the menu. So while true. According to this while true, this loop of while will always go on until break function is used. So first it will ask the user to give one of the choices from this. So if we want to add patient, we will input 1. We have seen choice. If choice is 1, then the add patient function is executed. When it is 2, search by ID is executed, and when it is 3, search by phone number is executed. Similarly, in 4, we have executed it. But if our database is empty, which it is in starting, if fourth option is used, then see this is given as output on the screen. For this, we have used a condition statement. If patients.empty, patients.empty is a function which returns a bool, yes or no output. If patient does not contain any value, then it will return true. So if patients.empty means if there is no value inside the patient's vector, and it will return true, and when true will be given to if condition statement, it will execute this line which shows the user that there is no patient in the current database. Otherwise, when it shows false, else statement will be indicated, and all using this loop, we are using all the patients inside this patients dot vector. Then this is the last choice, choice number 5. This shows, according to this, the program will exit, means the loop will end, and as soon as the loop ends, the function ends as well. So it will first show exiting, and after that, the function will end. This has a break here. Break has the function to end the current loop. It is in the while loop here, so it will end this loop. When none of the conditions matches, it shows invalid choice and try again. And again the loop starts. So let me show you how our function looks like now. So here you can see our code. This is where we define the libraries and include them where we are using. This is again the structure of patient. Then we have the first function which we all discussed about, print patient, then add patient, and the search by ID and search by phone. And this is our int main, the main workflow. As you can see, this is a longer code than other else. Return 0 is a very important line but not needed nowadays. So return 0 tells the compiler, tells the computer that the program int main was executed successfully. If it returns -1, then it means the program was not executed successfully. Now let's see how this works. So it gives the menu is shown here. So it is asking to choose from these following functions. Let's add a patient because currently the database is empty. I have choose choice 1. Enter patient ID. You can see we need to show patient ID. Let's give the ID 1, or we can actually give it A1 because we are storing it in string and it can store both alphanumeric characters. Then name I will give ABC for now, and age as 18. We can give phone number randomly, or we can give an actual number, this. Then we can store this address. It shows patient was added successfully. Now if you want to check we can also give list all patients and search by ID. First, let's choose search by ID. So the ID you can see we used A1. So I am inputting the ID that we used, pressing enter. It shows the patient info, ID, A1, name, ABC, and all the relevant informations. Now we need to choose function. Again, the menu is shown. Now let's add one more patient. Now this time I am taking the patient name as DEF or the patient as A2, name as DEF, age 18 again, phone number. We need to keep it different from the one we use. So I'm starting this with 0 now. So address DEF. Now, as you can see, we have given two inputs by now. So we can also use search by phone function to search for the second patient. So this is the same number that I inputted here in this ID. So when I press enter, it should show the details of this person. As you can see, it has shown the details of the same person, that is A2. Now let's use list all patients. We have used a choice number 4 which lists all the patients. You can see patient info first A1 and then patient second of ID A2. Then we can end this program by giving choice number 5. As you can see, the program has ended and then console is asking us to give another function. Okay. So let's talk what we learned in this video. This project demonstrated the use of structures, vectors, and also input output in console applications in C++. So in this project, we use some data management skills, and then this project can also be expanded and we can make a GUI based or database driven hospital management system. We can make a database of SQL and other languages which are good in database also, and this can be extended to a proper hospital management system. Thank you.